It is Friday, June 12th, 2020, and you are tuned into DIRTRACKR Daily. I'm Justin Fiedler. Lots of stuff to get to on the show today. A couple of races to talk about from last night, plus we'll get you ready for another slam-packed weekend of racing. A busy stretch of racing continued for the All-Star Circuit of Champions last night at Southern Oklahoma Speedway. Aaron Reitzel continues to lead the point standings, but the driver who won the previous 3 straight races, Kyle Larson, was not in attendance last night. After the win the night before, his team packed up and headed north to Knoxville this weekend with the World of Outlaws. 24 cars were on the property, though, and for the feature, it was Skylar G who started from the pole. On the start, he jumped to the early lead over second starting Brock Zearfoss. His time out front was short-lived, however, as Dominic Scelzi powered to the front from third after a lap 5 restart. He even briefly had the wheels off the ground down the backstretch, powering by G. By lap 10, Aaron Reitzel had moved up from his fourth starting position and was reeling in Scelzi. But during a caution, he actually ended up in the work area for an issue with the left rear. He was able to rejoin the field. Scelzi was out front until lap 14 when Brock Zearfoss came roaring back to the front on the top side. At one point in the early going, he'd fallen back all the way to 5th, but then was able to make his way back to the front using that top line. Once he got out front, he was untouchable over the second half of the race. He survived several restarts and at the end drove away to win over Danny Dietrich, Dominic Scelzi, Corey Lyson, and Justin Sanders. Reitzel recovered back to finish 9th. It was really interesting watching that race. A lot of guys on the bottom, and then kind of once Zearfoss figured out that top was working, then other guys tried to jump up and use that top, but the cushion was razor thin. You saw several guys kind of make mistakes, jump over that cushion, and a couple of guys even end up off the racetrack. So Zearfoss really able to make that top line work, just a little bit better than everybody else. Following the race, Reitzel maintains the points lead, but the gap back to Corey Lyson is now 32. Danny Dietrich is 3rd, Brock Zearfoss is 4th, and Zeb Wise is 5th. The All-Stars are back again tonight at Monarch Motor Speedway in Wichita Falls, Kansas. If you cannot be there, you can watch all the action live on Flow Racing. They continue straight through the weekend as well, so lots more All-Star racing coming up the next couple of nights. The USMTS Modifieds took to the Cedar Lake Speedway last night for the opening night of the 21st Annual Masters. 59 cars made the trip to the Wisconsin racetrack, and Rodney Sanders entered the night as the series points lead. In the feature, which went green to checkered with no cautions, Dustin Sorensen led the early going, but this night belonged to Rodney Sanders. Once he got clear of Sorensen, he was able to drive away over the remaining laps to take a decisive win, his 101st career series win. His margin of victory at the line was 4.68 seconds over Sorensen, with Jimmy Mars 3rd, Michael Truscott 4th, and Jason Hughes 5th. Derek Ramirez, who's second in points, finished 18th. That allowed Sanders to push his lead now out to 55 points in the standings. The USMTS is back tonight and tomorrow at Cedar Lake Speedway, and you can watch all the action live on racindirt.tv if you cannot be in attendance. Also last night, and stop me if you've heard this before, Mark Smith took down the USCS Sprint Car Series win at North Alabama Speedway. He beat Terry Gray and Jordan Mallett for his 10th series win of the season. I believe it's 10-12 or 10-13 races there. Pretty incredible stuff again. The USCS is back tonight and tomorrow at Hattiesburg Speedway and Jackson Motor Speedway. Looking forward to some other racing going on this weekend. After a couple of weeks off, the Luke Sowell Late Model Dirt Series is back for 2 shows in the South, starting tonight at Cherokee Speedway in South Carolina, and then they move to Smoky Mountain Speedway in Tennessee on Saturday. Brandon Overton won the series' last 2 races at East Bay Raceway Park in Florida, and Tim McCready enters the weekend as the points leader over Jimmy Owens and Jonathan Davenport. McCready is also riding a wave of momentum after he took down the $50,000 top prize last weekend at the Dirt Late Model Stream at Eldora. Fans are allowed both nights at the racetrack, but if you can't be there, you can watch all the action live on Lucas Oil Racing TV. These Lucas races this year have been absolutely fantastic. If you get a chance, I would definitely recommend tuning into these. The shows the last couple of weeks at Golden Isles and East Bay were definitely really, really fun to watch, and I would imagine that would continue this weekend as well. The World of Outlaws Sprint Cars are back in action this weekend as well, 2 nights at the Knoxville Raceway. Brad Sweet is your current series points leader, and he comes to Knoxville on the strength of a sweep last weekend at the Beaver Dam Raceway. The Outlaws made their return to racing in Knoxville just about a little over a month ago. That night was won by David Gravel in a barn burner over Ian Madsen. Darren Pittman also led laps in that race. The preliminary entry list released by the series shows like 50 cars expected on the entry list, so pretty stout field. And the list includes Kyle Larson, Casey Kane, Sammy Swindell, Rico Abreu, plus all the series regulars, Knoxville guys. It's going to be a pretty stacked field there at Knoxville this weekend. Should be a fun couple of nights to watch, and if that race from about a month ago is anything, we're in for some good racing. Looking at some more predictions for the World of Outlaws from the Dirt Tracker Analytics formula, Brad Sweet is favored for the weekend. And again, just a little bit of an explanation of the analytics formula. I've got multiple factors involved, including your past results at the track, past results at tracks similar in size, and then the last 5 races I cut it down to from 10 races. And I then take that and effectively simulate 100,000 of these races to get an idea of who would have highest win percentages. And it's pretty crazy to think, but over 100,000 races, Brad Sweet is favored, but he only won about 8% of those 100,000 races. So definitely plenty of randomness also worked into that formula as well. But Brad Sweet favored. He's got about 8% of those races. Kyle Larson is actually second on that list. His win percentage is about 7.75%. So not too far back of Sweet. Larson right there at the top. Donnie Schatz, Shane Stewart, and David Gravel are also all high on the list. With Brad Sweet's recent success and his ability to get around Knoxville, it's not a surprise the formula likes him. I think Kyle Larson could also be tough to beat this weekend as well. He's coming to Knoxville after having won 3 in a row with the All-Stars, and he's got some good finishes at Knoxville. He finished 3rd at the Nationals here, 2 years ago. I think another driver to keep an eye on this weekend, we've certainly been talking about him a lot lately, is Logan Schuchart. He kind of had his first stumble of the season last Saturday night at Beaver Dam. He was second late in the going, had a little bit of trouble. I think ended up with a flat tire. He finished 21st. He'll be looking to rebound over the next 2 nights, try to close that gap up back to Sweet in the standings. He is back to 3rd right now. And he's been good at Knoxville, was good at Knoxville the last time out, finished 3rd in that race. So it won't be surprising to see Logan really up on the wheel trying to make something happen this weekend to kind of make up for that finish last weekend at Beaver Dam. Like we've talked about so many times, you just have to minimize those bad nights, those rough nights with the Outlaws. These guys are just so good on a night-to-night basis that to have a night where you finish 21st is going to be really hard on you to kind of dig back out of that hole. So we'll see what Logan's able to do tonight and tomorrow night. If you need help deciding what to watch this weekend, check out the daily pay-per-view schedule over at DIRTRACKR.com. It's another slam-packed weekend of streams. The World of Outlaws in Attica over on Dirt Vision. Speed Shift has Placerville, Port Royal, Lincoln, and a ton of other shows. Flow Racing has a busy weekend of more All-Star racing. The IRA's back this weekend, plus USAC Sprint Cars. Sooner 600 weekend continues over at Fast 4 Media. Speed Sport literally has anything and everything you can think of. Modifieds, late models, sprint cars from literally any and every racetrack around the country. The Cushion has the Sealands Grove shows, and there's a lot more on that schedule. So I'll be keeping that updated through the weekend as we go. So check that out, dirttracker.com/watch tonight if you want something to watch over the weekend. That's the show for today. Hope everybody had a good week. Hope you get a chance to tune into some racing this weekend. Certainly be plenty of it to check out and to enjoy. And if you get out to the racetrack, please make sure you're doing everything you need to be doing, keeping yourself and your family safe as these kind of trying times continue. And I know the focus seems to kind of have been a little bit off of some of the things going on with all that's going on in the world. But just wanted to remind everybody to be safe if you do head out to the racetrack this weekend. I really appreciate everybody tuning into the show, everybody that watches on YouTube, listens to the podcast, checks out the site. And all of the people now jumping in and following and watching my short little video clips over on TikTok as well. I certainly appreciate everybody and everything that you guys do to help keep me pumped up doing the site. So you can find DIRTRACKR Daily on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or where you get podcasts. Please subscribe and leave a review. You can also watch the show every day on YouTube and Facebook. You can email the show at info@dirttracker.com, and you can follow along at facebook.com/dirttracker, twitter.com/dirttracker, and the website itself, dirttracker.com. You can follow me personally on Twitter at Justin_Fiedler, and you can sign up for the Dirt Tracker weekly newsletter on the site. Hope everybody has a good weekend. We will be back on Monday for more Dirt Tracker Daily.